Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone. We are a videocast slash podcast dedicated to bringing you the best Nintendo-related topics. As always, I'm your host, Nice One, and I'm joined today by Jaden Winsong and Brendan Blues, making his return back to the Nintendo Power Zone after being gone for a month. Welcome back, guys. How do you feel to be back?
I'm good. Thank you. I just moved. Those of you watching on the video portion of the podcast, you'll see the new kind of background behind me. Still getting a bit situated, but glad to be in a new home, new setup. And how about you, Jaden?
Doing well. Things are going crazy as normal, but I've managed to square time away for this and that. So glad to be here.
Oh man, I live in crazy town right now, man. Too much stuff is going down. There was supposed to be a Nintendo Direct on September 6th, but due to the earthquake in Hokkaido, Nintendo took the proper steps and delayed their Direct. They delayed it 7 days, so it was rescheduled for the 13th of this month, and they announced so much, and they did it in about 38 minutes, which I gotta say that's so much longer than what they presented us at E3, and I honestly want to say that this should have been what E3 was, because there was a lot here. There was so much here. All these announcements got me so hyped. But there's a bunch of other major news that we need to cover, so why don't we just go ahead and slide into the powered up news. And for our first story, all right, so there's a new exhibit in London, and it's going to be exploring the art of Splatoon. And if you guys have read this article, it's brought to you by Nintendo Life. They are a UK-based Nintendo fan site, and they have all these great pictures that show the exhibit off, right down to concept art of the Inklings when they were still in their bunny form. So it's not just Splatoon. There's a whole bunch of other games there. The exhibit is called Video Games Design, Play, Disrupt, and it aims to explore the medium of gaming since the mid-2000s. So it's a small slice of gaming. It's not even, the whole 50-year plus history of video games. It's literally just, the last 20 or 15 or so, 18 or so years. There we go. but yeah, just all flustered today, right? But yeah, there is a whole lot of just awesome Splatoon stuff to look at, and if you guys are watching the video version, the raw version won't have any imagery of it up, but I will make sure to post images of this exhibit up on the finalized edited version of this episode. And yeah, I really dig this. Have you guys taken a look at this exhibit yet?
More or less. I've only seen a couple screenshots from around the museum, but one thing that I think is interesting is compared to I own the Splatoon art book. And I heard about it. I was like, well, how could they outdo the art book? The art book's already so complete. And it really is just a grand history, as from the past 18 years, not just of Splatoon, but just of gaming. But to see the Splatoon stuff, it's a lot more in depth. I believe the article talks about how it's about the design, and that concept art is very integral to just like the origins and design origins of the game, which is something you don't get to see really in the Splatoon art book.
And just for for the sake of letting everybody know what you can expect to see in this exhibit, there is a video on bbc.co.uk. You can actually see a video of what is actually in the museum, and it's really cool. I implore you guys to take a look at this exhibit because it's definitely not coming stateside, guys. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it seems like every other region of the world gets much more Splatoon love than the US. Anyhow, let's go ahead and slide into the next topic. This is one that has me really excited. So The Legend of Zelda may be coming to Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, and this comes from themeparkuniversity.com. Now, themeparkuniversity.com is a site that I frequent a lot because I live in Florida. I go to a lot of theme parks, and they're pretty accurate with their sources. And what they're saying is that The Legend of Zelda is going to take over the so it's going to take over the 8th Voyage of Sinbad ride, which is a water ride that's been defunct for a long time. That ride hasn't been open in at least 5 years. And this goes along with the expansion that they're supposed to be doing on the Universal Studios side. So for those who don't know, Universal Studios Florida is actually 2 theme parks. There's 3. There's a water park. There's the Islands of Adventure, which includes Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, Marvel superheroes, comic strip stuff from like syndicated newspapers and some other stuff. And what they're going to do is they're going to bulldoze like the Lost World section or the Lost Continent section, which has all these lame defunct rides, and they're supposedly going to restructure that into being a Legend of Zelda section. And if you go back to the initial reports for Super Nintendo World in Universal Studios Florida, they did have a Legend of Zelda section that they had decided to scrap because it didn't fit in the overall space that they had. Now, the problem with this is this is counterintuitive to an earlier report that we got that said that Universal Studios was building a third theme park with the Nintendo section being outside of the main two parks that are currently existing. So we're getting conflicting reports, but Theme Park University, they were the people who gave us the initial concept art. So I'm willing to believe that their sources are accurate. I'm excited about this, especially now that Breath of the Wild has completely revitalized what the Legend of Zelda franchise is. It makes me think that the expansions that they plan on doing could incorporate a little bit of that Breath of the Wild art style. I would prefer that over the traditional, classic Legend of Zelda stuff like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, or A Link to the Past. I would like to see them incorporate the stuff that is more current. Any thoughts on this?
I think it's a good idea. I mean, from a business standpoint, it gives us a taste of what the Nintendo theme park could and would be. So I don't even know if we're supposed to be getting the Nintendo theme park in America. I know it's a Japan thing. I don't know if they've confirmed the America release yet.
They confirmed the America release. They
no
haven't
date,
determined what they're building. Yeah, they just said around 2022. So 4 years from now. But what we do know is coming to the park is Pokemon. Will be replacing the children's section of the of Islands of Adventure, and we know that Super Nintendo World, the Mario section, is supposed to take over a slot in the actual Universal side of things, maybe replacing the E.T. and Woody Woodpecker section. That being said, all of this is conjecture. We still have no finality from we have no word from Universal themselves as to where they intend to build the Super Nintendo World sections of their park. All of this is rumor until otherwise confirmed, but I do think it's safe to say that they're at least exploring these ideas. So I'm super excited. Brendan, any thoughts?
I mean, I think you guys have already kind of summed it up. There's the reports of a Zelda theme park is just huge. It does conflict the other reports, which makes us wonder, I suppose. But I feel it's all good because it's going to happen in 2022, and once that happens, it'll be what we want. I think you just sort of let them build it, and we will come.
Yeah, there are still times for plans to change between now and then. So, yeah,
I agree, and we all know that Nintendo has a really big idea for what this theme park is, and they are very deeply invested in making this park work. They are working alongside Universal Studios to make all of these attractions, and Miyamoto himself is working on these rides and the aesthetics of this. So I think we're going to talk about this for years to come, but I think we know that it's actually in safe hands with the people at Universal and the people at Nintendo, because we know Nintendo can deliver quality, and we know that Universal Studios knows how to make roller coasters, rides, and all that stuff. I prefer Universal Studios over Disney World, and they're both about an hour drive for me.
Definitely. I just want to say here, the other thing that Universal is really good at doing is they're really good at collaborating with gaming companies. For the big one being Monster Hunter, with in USJ, Universal Studios Japan. If you brought your Monster Hunter game with you, you'd actually get an event quest to download that would give you exclusive armor. So I'm really hoping they bring that sort of spirit of collaboration to the Universal Studios Florida, because who knows what they could bring to some of the main Nintendo IPs.
I actually remember in an initial report Reggie Fils-Aimé had given out, he had done an interview that specifically stated that they were looking for a way to integrate their mobile games with the theme park. Now, in my mind, that just functions as a check-in feature, but it could be something entirely different. But back to what you were saying, a couple years ago, Universal Studios Florida had a Halloween Horror Nights event, which is our premier Halloween themed event. It runs from the end of September to the end of October. It's so much fun. But they did a collaboration with Capcom to do a Resident Evil themed haunted house, and it was accurate. You got to walk through Raccoon City, and you got to see iconic characters like the Pyramid Head. You saw Leon S. Kennedy. They had the dogs, the zombie dogs. They had it all. And it was one of the best haunted houses I have ever been in. It was so good. And not just that, they've also collaborated with The Walking Dead extensively to bring amazing Walking Dead theme haunted houses. And this year they're going to do Stranger Things. So Universal Studios really knows how to do that. They know how to integrate things well. Like they build immersive worlds and they really get you into that. So that's what has me so excited that Universal's the company that's doing this. I mean, it would be nice if Disney did something, but on the other end of the spectrum, we know that Disney really neglects Kingdom Hearts. Like, it would be awesome to have some Kingdom Hearts, like anything in the theme parks, but they really stay away from like the video game side. They treat them like an entirely separate company.
Unfortunately, yeah. On the note of immersive worlds, though, I want to say that's a good thing that I prefer Universal over. I think the good thing that why Nintendo's going with them is that we already talked about the Mario Kart ride that was confirmed is using like this really cool immersion technology. And that is something that Universal just excels at, and that's what I'm excited to see there. Just the technology that you can immerse us in these worlds.
I think we're all agreed. You know, we're really excited for the fact that Universal is doing this.
Well, I mean, there's so many of the theme parks that this could have gone to. This could have been like a Six Flags thing or even a Disney thing. We all know, I'm going to be honest, if Six Flags had gotten this, Six Flags would be the worst equipped to handle, because they don't really, focus on immersion. They're just like, here are your thrill rides.
Yeah.
Get in, get out. I think the closest thing they have to immersion is like the Batman, Joker ride, where you basically just get in a VR Batmobile and you just chase the Joker, which is great if you're 7, but as you get older, that ride does not age, and it's based off of those the early 90s, late 80s Batman movies with not Keanu Reeves, Michael Keaton. Yeah, so they refuse to update that, man, and they don't do immersion. Disney does immersion, but like I think lately Disney has fallen short on immersion, and they've been trying to get back to that. Like that new Avatar section in Animal Kingdom is definitely Disney's reaffirmation to building immersive worlds, but they had lost that for a long time in the theme park. They basically just got to the point where like, let's just put things here and see what sticks.
Yeah, I noticed that after, it seems to me that they did away with the entire like Imagineering division that they had from the 1950s to whatever, and it lost its charm in my opinion. But that's just me. Anyway, we could do an entire podcast on like theme parks. I think we
already did an episode that was just dedicated to that.
Yeah.
Like I said, though, when we recorded that episode, we would definitely be continuing to update this story as we saw more news. So, yeah, so excited. And, Brennan, you added a new story to the Powered Up News, so go ahead and take that away.
Oh, yes, it's very quick, but so previously we talked about how Resident Evil 7 was going to be on the Nintendo Switch, but only as a streaming game where, since the Switch could not handle Resident Evil 7, it's too graphically intensive, too powerful for it to handle, you could pay to have it streamed to the Switch. And so we now have another confirmed game for that kind of streaming game service. Whatever that ends up being, whether it ends up leaving Japan, I don't know. But that game is Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I find very interesting. Assassin's Creed, I don't think has been... The last one we got was like Black Flag, or maybe only 3.
That was on the Wii U.
And the Wii U didn't push Assassin's Creed units, didn't push anything really. And so we've been not getting a lot of Assassin's Creed games. There's been a lot of mixed things on Assassin's Creed in general lately, but it's definitely different. These new Assassin's Creed games just look different from the previous ones, which has me intrigued. I guess. But to see it be powerful and see more games use this sort of service on the Switch is critiquing my interest to what else could be possible. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of interested to see how this works. I know in Japan it's a lot better for them to do something like this when it comes to streaming games because they have what I like to call super internet, and yeah, they just have the best internet in the world, and I don't know how well something like that could work here. I question it, especially since we have all these different internet servers, and I mean, Steam seems to work pretty okay for the most part, but I just wonder if the Switch can handle streaming services like this. I don't, we've said it a few times on this podcast. The Switch is a phenomenal system, but at the end of the day, it is underpowered, and it does not necessarily have the best online infrastructure as of now. That may change come tomorrow once the online service, officially kicks off. We don't know. So I am skeptical about this. Hopefully it does well enough that they make an announcement that it's something that they're going to do here in the US. We have yet to hear anything from Capcom as to whether or not they're going to do Resident Evil 7, but I would totally love to play some RE7 on the Switch because I've been having the itch to play that game again. It's been about a year since I played it, maybe a little bit longer.
What'll really kill this service is how much bandwidth it requires. That's what will really kill it because there are some people out in the rural areas of America, the Midwest, et cetera, et cetera. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you, Middle America. That their internet isn't the super cable that pulls 1 gig speeds. They get 50 if they're lucky, and they're running off a satellite. So I don't even think satellites can do 50. Anyway, the point is, if this service is going to require a massive bandwidth, that's going to hurt the business model. Although, on the other hand, this is going to push new technology because this is one of the things where people are talking about. We could see a return of just having terminals and having processing being done on another area. So this is a very interesting foray into that technology.
It's true. And now the games that they've announced for the service so far, Resident Evil 7, Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, fairly new games. Most people would say that the Switch has been shafted on games like this. So it is exciting to see, more mature, better content coming to the Switch. Now, granted, I would take a graphical downgrade on both of these games for the portability aspect, and we lose that when we have to dedicate things to, streaming, because there's no way you're going to be able to play Resident Evil 7 streaming in handheld mode. It's just not feasible. And I would venture to say it's similar to Assassin's Creed will have the same problems. There's just no way you can play it in handheld mode. That being said, though, I would still like to play these games on the Switch.
So here's what I'm going to say. It's probably not possible, but in the event that it could be, it would drain your battery so bad. Like, you'd be lucky to get 2-3 hours out of that. So I could see why it would make sense to do docked.
Yeah, playing Breath of the Wild, I only got about 3.5 hours before I had to charge the system, and that was like 3.5 hours from fully charged to completely dead.
Yeah. Yep. So.
All right. So I think that'll go ahead and cover our news section. So guys, tell us what you thought. And before we go ahead and slide into our topic of the week, I wanted to say what sources we use. So today we use sources from Nintendo Life, Nintendo Wire, and Theme Park University. This is, again, part of our commitment to let you know where we get our sources so that we aren't accused of doing anything Philip Mewson related.
Philip Mewson, you will always forever be remembered as being a schmuck. I'm sorry to say.
All right. So, guys, let's go ahead. Before we go ahead and cut into commercial, let's go ahead and get into the topic. Let's talk about the 3DS stuff first. So there were a few games announced for the 3DS. Let's go ahead and hit them in the order that they were announced. So the first one up is Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. Now, this is a Wii title. This is a weird one because lately Nintendo's been finding ways to port Wii U games onto the 3DS. We had what's it called? Super Mario Maker for the 3DS first.
And then Yoshi's Woolly World DS.
Yoshi's Woolly World. And now we're gonna have Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, which is kind of a step back. I mean, aesthetically, I thought Kirby's Epic Yarn was a beautiful game, and it obviously led the way for games like Yoshi's Woolly World and Yoshi's Crafted World, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on today's show. But yeah, not a graphically intensive game. They are adding some new functionality to the game, some extra power-ups. I believe there was going to be amiibo support. But the game looks as good as it ever did. They didn't say whether or not it was going to support 3D functions. And now I know that the 3D functions have been going to the wayside a little bit when it comes to 3DS titles. But still, I love this game. It is on the more baby side of Kirby games. It's like super easy, but it's still a pretty fun game. Easy to play in co-op. So yeah, I actually like this title being on the 3DS. I think if you didn't get a chance to play it on the Wii, this is your chance to play it now. Any thoughts?
I really hope they add 3D.
Yeah, I think seeing how this game in its sort of yarn 2D style will look in 3D has me interested. I want to know how that looks. In terms of it being a Wii port, I've noticed a lot of Wii ports coming to the Switch, which I don't like. At first, it struck me as kind of weird, but now I kind of don't think it's a bad thing. We've seen, or not to 3DS, but to Switch, I suppose. We saw Go Vacation, which was a Wii game. We saw Da Blob and Da Blob 2. And Carnival Games, which is like a Wii, like almost launched mini game title, is coming.
There was another game too. World of Goo got announced for the Switch as well.
Well, that's World of Goo is on everything though. Like, and that was
true.
Yeah, all three of their games. What's that? World of Goo, Little Inferno, and Human Resource Machine are just on every system though. So that's that's nothing to be sneezing at, I suppose.
Yeah, that's expected at this point.
Yeah, they were on Wii U as well.
Yeah.
But what? But I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see more Wii games kind of get resurfaced. I think we're at a interesting point where we can port Wii games now. I think, people thought like Twilight Princess was kind of too soon, but now I feel like with the Switch, it's not too soon. I don't know. I feel like Switch, I would not mind seeing some more Wii games.
Yeah, I'd like to see Skyward Sword and Xenoblade Chronicles 1 ported onto the Switch.
Yeah.
We've already got the 3DS, port for Xenoblade Chronicles, and you can take that as you will. But
I want a No More Heroes 1 and 2 port.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Absolutely.
Or Wonderful 101.
Joy-Con support.
Or Mad World. That would be fantastic.
Mad World
Mad World would be good.
I know for a fact I'm going to be bringing up Wii ports later on in this episode too, so look out for that when I.
We're going to be talking about a lot of ports today, if we're being honest.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to wait to bring this up until later, but I know in terms of, I just figured I'd bring it up now. But the Wii ports, I know a lot of people have been complaining, like, why does Nintendo just rehash their games? I'm like, really, guys? Come on. If we're going to be 100% real talk honest here. The PS4 Xbone generation has been a shit ton of HD remasters. You cannot blame Nintendo for taking a piece of the pie.
Well, I just remember the PS4 launched. The PS4 launched, and they were like, Last of Us HD. I'm like, this game just came out.
Yeah, exactly. But no one got mad at PlayStation for doing it. No one gets mad when Xbone does it, but Nintendo does it, and everyone loses their fucking mind. And I don't want to look like a fanboy, but when people hold double standards, it kind of pisses me off, So the fact that we're seeing remasters now with Nintendo, dude, everyone else is doing it. Just let them fucking do it. That's just the world we live in right now.
Same thing with online. No one gives like Microsoft or Sony crap about the paid online, and now Nintendo's going on the paid online, and everyone's like, "Oh, I mean, I get are there servers? I'm just not sure if that was confirmed, and I'm going to be upset if there's not servers." But
yeah, we'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah,
we'll get to it later. We'll get to it later.
All right. So let's go ahead and slide into another port. We're getting Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Now, I believe this was actually a DS game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So it's getting up-res to match the newer art style that they did with Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga last year. they still. I was not expecting them to re-announce this game because they showed us this game at E3. I was actually expecting them to announce Partners in Time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm still
I was
upset
too.
they skipped over that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was really
They're
weird.
just not making that game. To be fair, I honestly think that is the worst of the Mario and Luigi games.
Yeah, but you know that's not fair because all those games were like 9 out of 10s at the very least.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
they
no,
set the
Partners in
series.
Time was great.
It was really like objectively without comparing to the other ones, like it's like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10 on my scale. It's so like hard to compare it to the other titles because the series as a whole is great.
Well, that's the thing of like there really is no such thing as a bad Nintendo made game. Like they just come in various degrees of how good they are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where you think when you look at Partners in Time, it's like it's not as good as Bowser's Inside Story
Yeah,
or
that's
the
true.
original, but it's still a good game.
Yeah, it's
But
fantastic.
they
My
added
second
the
favorite
Bowser.
series, personally. I like Bowser's Inside Story, Partners in Time, and then original. But then from there, the Dream Team and Paper Jam are tied for last.
Oh, Paper Jam. Paper Jam is the most Okay, I take it back. Paper Jam is actually a bad game. Because it bastardizes both versions of those Mario RPG games.
It is
but
cool to
still.
crossover though, but it's not well
It's
done.
a cool. It's a great idea. Bad execution, and they need a redo on that one. They need to figure out how to do that and do it on the Switch.
Mhm.
Do it on the Switch and do it right.
Yeah.
But again, we know that they've added the Bowser Jr.'s Journey section, which is kind of like a boss rush mode. Not really that interested in this like side stuff. I'm glad they're adding more content. It's an excuse to rebuy these games and not feel so bad. But then I wonder, like, am I actually gonna play that part of the game? Probably not.
It's added content for those who want it.
That's true,
Yeah.
or people who've never played the game originally.
And it's Bowser Jr. and everybody loves Bowser Jr. So
Roy's better.
Yeah.
Roy and Lemmy.
It's true, but you know what I mean. His children, they loved his children.
The Koopalings. All right, so next up, Luigi's Mansion. This is a port of the GameCube game, which I'm really excited about this because I love that. I love the Luigi's Mansion franchise, and up until this direct, I did not think that franchise got enough love. I mean, because they went from major console, to their handheld system with this franchise, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But yes, the original Luigi's Mansion coming out on the 3DS, and now it's going to have 2-player co-op mode. You can either use the dual cartridge way, where both of you have a game, or you can do download play for boss rush mode, which is awesome. I like that. Luigi's Mansion is a great game. Now, I wonder if the game will scale, because Luigi's Mansion isn't necessarily a hard game. So adding a second player might be overkill. Kind of the way that Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee look like. Once you play with 2 players, it is super overkill to be in gym battles and catch Pokemon. So I just wonder if they're going to scale the game for this. My gut is telling me no, because Nintendo likes to be as family friendly as possible when it comes to co-op games. But I would like to see them, take a risk and just scale the game. Make it a little bit harder if you're going to play co-op.
I don't think they're scaling it either.
You'll see.
Yeah, we'll
I
have to
got
see it
less
more,
than a month, so.
I think that the 3DS is becoming a very good home for Luigi's Mansion games. I'm glad to see the original one make a return, because Dark Moon was the the sequel, the 3DS one originally.
Yep.
Got met with like fairly underwhelming support. But it wasn't as good as the first, is what people were saying. And
It's true.
I think that is.
I can agree with that assessment. It's still a good game, and for the price point, I think everybody should play it, because it's one of Nintendo's, like, what are they calling it? The selects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like,
you pay
$20 or less. Yeah,
$20 on the 3DS, digitally and physically. So you can't really go wrong with this title. It is a fun title for the 3DS, and now with the original, you get a chance to go back and play a GameCube classic. And I mean, I know it's not that GameCube experience, because it's lacking that amazing GameCube controller, but it's still an opportunity to play one of the best underrated games of the GameCube era.
Yeah, I think the part of the appeal of Dark Moon, even if it wasn't to be a new game, was that you got to experience just Luigi's Mansion in some form again in the modern era. So to be able to experience the first one again, I think is great.
Yeah, and the best thing about this is now we'll be able to look back and we'll get to see, was Luigi's Mansion really that good? Or is it just nostalgia goggles bringing it up to a 12 out of 10? So that'll be interesting to see as well.
I can answer that question because I frequently go back and play the GameCube version. It's that damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty good, actually.
If you go back to play it frequently, it's good. That's just the rule of thumb.
Yeah.
If it's not, you don't go back to play it.
Yeah, there's only a handful of games that I make sure that I dedicate time to play them at least once a year. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I play that game once a year.
Definitely.
I'll play Luigi's Mansion at least once a year. Donkey Kong's Country at least once a year. Sonic 3 at least once a year. I'll go back and I'll play Final Fantasy 7. That one's a little bit harder because it's so long, but I do my best to play that game at least once a year. We'll be talking about that a little bit later too, guys. All right. So last but not least on the 3DS front is a franchise that I can't believe Nintendo still is pushing. Yokai Watch Blasters, and I believe this is a downloadable title only, and it's coming. I don't know what to say about Yokai Watch games anymore. I can't fathom why they keep trying to push this as the next Pokemon when it's clearly not. Like, I mean, it has a lot of the stuff that you think would make it as popular as Pokemon, but these games just don't achieve the levels of success that the Pokemon games do. And I know Nintendo pretty much does it so that they keep who's the studio that makes them
level 5.
Level 5. Good. They keep pushing these games to kind of appease level 5, but more and more I'm starting to see level 5 wanting to move into mobile with their releases. They're basically taking all of their major franchises like Layton and now Yokai Watch and pushing it hard on mobile. So I know Nintendo's doing it to kind of just appease one of their biggest collaborators, but Yokai Watch does not really work outside of Japan. Any thoughts on this game? I mean,
well, you hit it on the nose right there. I mean, Yokai Watch works well in Japan, and it seems to have lukewarm success. Like, I don't see people not buying it, but it doesn't. I don't think it's a console seller the way Pokemon is. I think, and let's be fair. The Yokai Watch, the mechanics as a whole are actually pretty interesting. The game mechanics aren't bad. It's really the story. Like, I think, I think that has to do with something that's lost in the localization and the translation. It's super Saturday morning kiddie cartoon, which just it kills it for me because I'm way too old to really be able to enjoy that anymore. Yeah.
I've been quietly not trying to yell at you guys for what you've just said. I'm a big Yokai Watch fan. I'm waiting for 3, 4. The 3 screenshots we've seen of Yokai 4 look amazing. But it's not Pokemon, I have to admit, but it is good. I like it a lot. It does not have the appeal in the States. It is very lukewarm. It sells in Japan, but it's lukewarm everywhere else. And I gladly admit that. But
I think it's just lukewarm. Me, though. Yeah, Yokai is not nearly it's underrated in the States, and I always go back to this. I think it's the localization. I think it has got bad marketing and bad localization.
I think the thing that bothers me is that I think what bothers me about the series as a whole is how far behind we tend to be from Japan when it comes to these games. We are consistently 2 to 3 years behind whatever release they have in Japan.
We are so far behind in Yokai Watch right now.
What are they on? In Japan, they're on their 4th game, and we still have yet to get
4. Okay, 3 but we haven't even had 2 or 3 years ago now. 2 just came out. Blasters is a side game that's already in 2. It might be in 1. They've turned that side mini game into a full game, and that's what we have. It is a physical release. They're pushing the Moon Rabbit not DLC but update, which is for the third game. Where like you had Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. This is their Emerald. They do those Emerald sort of titles as download onlys in the US and other localizations. Whew.
Didn't they announce another Yokai Watch game that was kind of a side story?
Yeah, there's 2 phone games which are side stories.
But we had one where it's like where you had to go back in time, but it wasn't a numbered Yokai Watch game.
That was 2. 2 is the one you go back in time in.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was the one. Yeah.
Okay, so they just announced the third version of that second game.
Which is
I think so.
So there's Fleshy Souls. I don't know. There's Bones, Fleshy Spirits in the third one. I've forgotten them. Psychic Specters, I think.
I wanted to like Yokai Watch. I really did. I gave it a fair shot, and I even watched the anime. And
the anime is really bad.
Like the only reason I would continue to watch it is because it always came on right before Pokemon on Disney XD.
I still watch the anime even though it's bad. I watch it because it's bad. I have a running joke where I keep watching it, waiting for the plot to actually happen, and it just never happens. There's never a plot. But then the one time they actually gave me kind of a plot. And then they like didn't acknowledge that it ever happened again after that episode. I was like, what? What?
I'm kind of curious to see how the fan subs are for that show, if there were one. The translations on that, because I'm Again, I stick by the opinion that a lot of level 5's games, like well, not a lot, but a couple of the ones I played, Yokai and Little Battlers Extreme, they had terrible localizations.
True,
Good game.
You look at games like Layton, and Layton was a phenomenon, over the last, 10 years. What they did with the Layton franchise, and now that they've moved into like Lady Layton, those games are still amazingly popular, and they're pretty much point and click games. Like we're looking at like a dated, form of play style, and those games do extraordinarily well on whatever platform, especially on the DS and the 3DS platform. Yokai Watch doesn't have like that magic that the Layton games have, in my opinion.
I think also that's because Layton is targeting a different audience. It's got a wider demographic. LBX and Yokai are strictly for kids. That's that's who they are. They target it. It's a very hard line. If you're 10 and under, this is for you. We're not going to give the adults anything, which is what Pokemon does really well. They're like, okay, let's make something that everyone can enjoy. And that's, I think, why they don't mention ages at all.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that. I think also, but I think there's that running argument that Pokemon games start to skew younger with every generation.
They have been lately.
The audience continues to
grow
age
older.
Upwards. Yeah, the audience gets older, but they continue to play the Pokemon games, yet they keep trying to skew the game down. Like, to be fair, if you go back and you play those original Pokemon games, they're actually kind of brutal.
Oh yeah,
go back and play Red and Blue, and those games are broken and brutal.
Oh yeah.
By Pokemon standards, by traditional Pokemon standards, those games are broken and brutal. By traditional RPG standards, they're cakewalks.
Yeah, definitely.
There's broken mechanics, but they're harder for the series at the same time. I don't know. Toxic Fleet Speed, that's nothing to say.
That's going to go ahead and wrap up the 3DS section of this discussion. Guys, what we're going to do real quick is we're going to take a 5-minute commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to go ahead and talk about all the Switch news that got announced during this Nintendo Direct, and that includes our assessment on Nintendo Switch Online. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Nintendo Power Zone, guys. If you are just joining us live, we are discussing the September 13th Nintendo Direct that took place just a few days ago. We're giving you our thoughts. We've already talked 3DS. Now let's go ahead and time to talk about the stuff that we all really care about, the Nintendo Switch section. So there
real quick. I just want to slide in right here before we get to the big stuff. Nintendo Switch, for you guys who are Tales fans, Tales of Vesperia Collector's Edition is on sale for pre-order from the Bandai Namco store. So check it out. It's $100. It's not a shit. If you're a Tales fan like me, check it out. That's my spiel.
Nice.
Please sponsor us. Anyway, back to the Direct.
Awesome sauce. So what we have is a crap ton of titles. Legit, this should have been their entire E3, because had they just talked about all this stuff at E3, people wouldn't have been bitchy. But it's just, they started off so big, in my opinion. They started off so big. Luigi's Mansion 3, and that is a working title. And oh my god, just a few minutes ago, I was saying that Luigi's Mansion is the most underrated GameCube game. It gets no love. The Luigi spin-off games, they don't push them the way they should. I mean, the fact that when we get the first Luigi's Mansion game back in 2001.
Oh, the first one. Okay.
It was GameCube. It must have been like 2001.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a launch game with the GameCube, and we are just now getting our third. We're just now getting our third iteration of that game, and yeah, this one looks really good. Now, I don't know how it's going to work, but I implore Nintendo to do something that they did in the arcades. The Luigi's Mansion arcade game allows for motion controls with this giant Poltergust 5000, and the way you catch the ghost is you hit the button, and then you gotta kind of aim the Poltergust at the screen, and then you gotta pull it, so it kind of works like those old NES Zapper games. But it's so dope. And if you guys haven't seen the video, I've done a Let's Play of that game a few times at the Dave & Buster's in Orlando, Florida. Both me and my fiance love that game. So I hope that they add that kind of functionality to the Luigi's Mansion for the Switch. But yeah, that's a really big title. It's a big title with a popular Nintendo IP. And that franchise, it's got a nice cult following. So I definitely hope people get this game. It's coming out in 2019, so it's a pretty big announcement. They didn't give a release date, although I am a little skeptical that it may be coming out in 2019, because Metroid isn't going to be ready in 2019. Yeah. But still, I'm super excited. Luigi's Mansion, let's get it. And graphically, it looked okay. It didn't look as good as Super Mario Odyssey, but I'm pretty sure we've just saw an early build of the game, so I'm sure it'll get a lot better looking between now and the time that the game actually comes out. Thoughts on Luigi's Mansion 3, guys?
I'm also hoping it's an early build. It did look a little bit messy, but I mean, this is so this is one of the things when you mentioned about 2019 as release date. I actually think that might be plausible. One of the reasons why Metroid 4 is taking a while, I presume, is that they're rebuilding a Metroid 4 engine, right? So, but with Luigi's Mansion, they already have the Dark Moon engine. All they'd have to do is pull some crap from there and maybe make some tweaks. And, if ever goes well, maybe end of 2019.
I'm really hoping that they add the co-op features that we're seeing in the 3DS version. So, maybe local multiplayer is a must, I think. But it'd be nice if you could have, like, the dual cartridge thing that they do with the 3DS, where I have the game, you have the game, we can have our own screens and play together. That could be really, really fun. So excited about Luigi's Mansion 3.
So my thoughts, first of all, I think there's a weird kind of balance they have to find between Dark Moon and the original, where everyone says the original is so much better. Pull what people liked from that. But I kind of like a lot of the new stuff that was introduced. I'm not sure if it's official or not, but I'm pretty sure that we're getting just one mansion, just like the original, whereas the Dark Moon had 3. But if you look at the sort of like title card, I guess you'd call it, it shows a very, very tall mansion, similar to that one Street Pass game, which is like an endless floor of haunted tower mansions or something. Which is it's a cool concept, I think, to be more, maybe not each floor is smaller, but you have a lot of floors. Could be interesting. There was a multiplayer version on Dark Moon that had something similar, the Tower of Scare or Tower of Fear. I don't know, but that's look that in that too.
I kind of wish, if we're gonna be honest, I kind of wish if we could go back to last month's Smash Direct. I kind of wish that they had trolled us the way that they trolled us with this Smash Direct, or with this Smash announcement, with with the Luigi's Mansion where they had Dead Luigi and that became a meme for a little while.
That is a perfect segue. That's a good segue into what I want to talk about next. I hope we get Castlevania DLC, where Luigi's Mansion, the mansion is now Dracula's castle. And I think Dracula's castle could be very interesting. I think you wouldn't be able to have a lot of the Castlevania enemies per se. Some of them just won't fit. A lot of them could. Platforming, I think, would be harder. But you would just have it more themed to be a Castlevania type game. I don't know, but I'm really hoping they put some Castlevania DLC.
That would be really interesting. I can't see Nintendo doing something like that, but if they did, it could be a lot of fun.
But all right. I think that was a good tease. I think it was cool to tease it so early with like Luigi's Mansion, get it in our heads that like it exists, and then announce it. As well as I think people pointed out that it's a new poltergeist that he used in the trailer to get people like sort of speculating, is this coming? Is this happening? So that was actually smart. They didn't troll us so that we could actually think about it for a while.
Yeah, I didn't really notice if the poltergeist was different in this specific trailer, but if it is, I'm going to have to go back. I've seen this direct like 3 times, and I'm still haven't paid attention to some of the finer details because every time I've watched the direct, I've been, writing our show notes so that we could discuss all the announcements that came out of this massive direct.
Yes.
So, speaking of massive, Splatoon 2 4.0 update, a lot of changes in this update. So, they're making a huge change to Splatfest. Splatfest will now be divided into 2 categories, normal and pro. So your normal battles, the category can be played in solo or as a team of up to 4 people. So it's going to function essentially like Salmon Run, which I love that idea. I have always wanted to play 2-player Splatfest because it's not often that you can get a team of 4, to just do Splatfest with. I mean, every now and then I can accomplish that, but it's a lot easier to do a team of 2 or 3. And before you didn't have that, you really didn't have that option of playing with your friends during Splatfest, which was the worst idea ever. Because if you're going to basically remove all of the other features in the game so that you can do Splatfest and you can't play with your friends, that blows. I mean, there are a few times where I've been able to play with Mario After Party and my fiance randomly. I remember when the first Splatoon game was out, Mario After Party and I used to try to hit the button at the same time to see if it would put us into the same lobby. And every now and then that would actually work, which would be funny. But you never really get to play with your friends. I like this option. And the game will just compensate. So if you're playing with less than, 4 people, so if you have a team of 2 or 3, the game will just find a random 4th for you. Very awesome. Pretty much functions just like Salmon Run. When you select continue or change gear and continue, you can now continue on to the next battle with the same team. So if you had success with the team, you can now change your gear and then join back in with that. It'll probably slow down how quickly you get matched up. But, I mean, it guarantees like a sort of synergy. If you've been playing with the team and you've been doing fairly well with them. Points for turf will now be ranked by individual players. Points for turf linked by individual players are added to the points earned by the team for a winning battle, resulting in a value known as clout. And the side with the most clout at the end of the Splatfest is the winner. Clout is not added for battles between teams of the same side. So if you're on the same team, so if it's like a spoon versus spoon team, you're not going to get any clout for that battle. So you have to be on an opposing team in order to earn clout. If the combination of visual look and type of all 4 teams' game wear meets certain conditions, a synergy bonus is triggered. So coordinating your gear will allow you to have synergy. That's a really cool one because then you have like, gear themed teams. I like that idea, especially now that they've got like that new weapon pack that just got announced where you have like, where it's like that monochrome color where if everyone is using like that white and black gun, you might get a synergy for it. That's going to add a whole lot of depth to the way that you play Splatfest. I hope they integrate that into the ranked battle system. And let's see. Okay, when you're on a winning streak, you're more likely to match with other teams that are on a winning streak, so the matches should get progressively harder. And then, and this is the last section for Splatfest Battles Normal, when there are multiple teams with the same number of consecutive wins, you'll be matched with a team as close to your skill level as possible. So your power ranking will play a factor in Splatfest going forward in normal mode. Very cool. As far as Splatfest Pro, when you win a battle, you increase your own Splatfest power and receive clout equal to the opposing team's approximate Splatfest power. The side with the most clout when the Splatfest conclude wins. Clout is not added for battles between teams of the same side. Battle participants are chosen from players that are as close in Splatfest power as possible. So if you suck, you're going to be playing with sucky people. If you're good, you should be playing with really good people. The top 100 players in Splatfest power rankings on each side will be displayed on Splatnet 2 in the Splatfest top 100 list. So we're getting ranked for Splatfest if you're playing in Splatfest Pro mode. Very cool. It adds some of the competitiveness back to Splatfest that has been lacking. So there are some other changes. You're going to continue to earn experience even after a Splatfest T is at max level. Players will earn a random ability chunk each time they pass a certain point threshold. I like that one. 10 times battle and 100 times battle will now occur randomly, earning players on the winning team a huge boost of clout for their side. So you're going to get power boosts for certain criteria that's met. They haven't specifically said how frequently you're going to enter a 10 times or 100 time battle, but it's nice to know it's there. When a friend wins a 10 times battle or someone somewhere wins a 100 times battle, that information will be displayed on the lobby screen or the signboard in Inkopolis Square. So people are going to know that you've won a 10 times battle because they're going to see it pretty much Ready Player One style in the Splatfest lobby. And if you guys haven't read that book, it's your own damn fault.
There's even a movie now, too.
Don't even watch the movie.
Okay.
Don't watch the movie. Read the book.
But there's no excuse to not have some kind of culture of what we're talking about here. If there's a
What's culture? I've never heard of culture before.
Go read a book.
What is
book? The last other change is the amount of Splatfest power does not increase in these battles. So that applies to Splatfest. There are some other changes to multiplayer, which we're going to go ahead and discuss. The layout and terrain of certain stages has been modified. So Starfish main stage, they've changed the terrain in all modes, made a major change to the terrain from spawn points to the center of the stage. Now, Starfish main stage is one of my least favorite stages, so anything they can do to make this stage better, I'm about that life. They've made changes to Snapper Canal and Piranha Pit. They've changed some of the weapons. If you guys want to take a look at all these upgrades, you can go ahead and go to Nintendo Everything. They have a very detailed list with all the patch notes. But there have been new weapons added to the game, which I really love these black and white weapons that they've added. They look really good. We're getting new stages in October. We're getting new specials, and one of the specials looks like an Inkling doing the Rasengan from Naruto. My after point thinks it's a spirit bomb.
Yeah, it's a spirit bomb, dude.
Yeah, it's a spirit bomb.
No, I see it as a Rasengan because the way it's like just in the one palm and then it gets a little bit bigger. Either way, whatever anime reference you want to make to that, I think it looks really cool. I want to know what weapon has that that special because it looks dope. Like I said, you guys can go to
subs. That's what I want.
What?
The shaker grenade subs.
Oh yeah, like you shake them like a soda can, they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they. Yeah, there are a lot of big changes to Splatoon. So you guys need to go ahead and check out the patch notes. You can go to Nintendo.com or you can check out the Nintendo Everything site because they really detailed patch notes. A lot of changes coming in the 4.0 update, and I believe the weapon pack is out now. I haven't had a chance to go back and play Splatoon since the update, but I believe the weapons are out already.
I want to talk about that. I have, and not only that, I came out during the maintenance they had right after the update, so I couldn't actually play online. So I took the opportunity to finish playing the Octo expansion. And so, further backstory, after they announced the release date, like the day after E3, I was all busy with moving out of my old place, so I didn't get a chance to actually play it. I played most of it fairly recently, but didn't actually finish it. But during that maintenance, I decided to finish it. And I got a weird glitch after finishing it and going into Inkopolis Square, where I got a repeat of the previous Spoon vs. Fork Splatfest results. And the dialogue had actually changed. The dialogue reflected the new system. And so popularity, the popularity was the same, but then it had clout for both normal and pro Splatfests, they mentioned. And they were set to both $99.99 for, I believe, Team Fork, Team Pearl. So the measurements themselves weren't accurate, but I thought it was interesting to see that the dialogue had changed. The information had changed accordingly. And then, of course, Marina blew up at Pearl, and that awkward blow up happened again. I got to witness that a second time. I was hoping they'd give me more sea snails, because said my sea snails would be available to pick up. They unfortunately weren't. So, oh well. Can't win them all.
So
that was really
on.
interesting. Yeah. Weapon pack is out, by the way. No subs or specials, though.
The one thing I do want to mention about this list is the seeming lack of any sort of reference to a what do they call it? The cheat protector? Cheat protection? So
oh, the hacking.
Yeah. The hacking protection. So that's a little bit disappointing. I'm hoping they're really dealing with it and just not mentioning it as opposed to ignoring it. But I guess we'll see once the next Splatfest comes around.
Perma-banning anyone who was caught cheating, but they haven't exactly explained how they're going about catching cheaters, and I hope they're not just using that report system that's part of the Splatnet 2 app. Personally, I don't think that's enough. I think Nintendo should be monitoring their game the way that other companies monitor their games, but you never know when it comes to Nintendo. Sometimes they like to do their own thing.
Yeah.
So sliding into our next topic, Mega Man 11. Super excited about this game. It got a playable demo that was released the date of the original scheduled time for the Direct. So it was released September 6th, presumably after the time that the Direct was supposed to end. I haven't had a chance to play this demo yet. I've watched gameplay of the demo. It looks phenomenal. I just haven't had a lot of chance to play video games. I've been so busy lately, but that's a damn lie. I take it back. I have been playing so much Spider-Man. I've been playing so much Spider. I'm a damn liar. I haven't had any time to play my Switch.
Yeah.
But shout out to Sony for actually coming out with a really good Spider-Man game. I want to shout them out because I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and most Spider-Man games suck. But yeah, honestly, I thought Insomniac wouldn't be able to handle it. If I'm being 100% honest, I didn't think they had the ability to do this game any kind of justice. And I there's still areas where the game falls short, but I'll discuss that on my other channel. But this is a Nintendo channel right now. But yeah, Mega Man 11 game looks really good. Graphics are good. It looks like we're not going to run into a Mighty Number 9 situation with this game where we're being shown something that we're ultimately not delivered on. The game comes out October 2nd, one day before my birthday, so I look forward to picking that game up. And
this was a game that I'm also really excited for because I'm a big Mega Man fan. I've been playing since like Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 1, really. But Mega Man 2 is obviously my favorite. But anyway, so the one thing that I was looking for in the new trailer was how Mega Man acts. Are they gonna go from the Mega Man that we saw towards the end of the series, or are we talking about Mega Man like early Mega Man? Because I think it was Mega Man 10. What was the last one they released back in 2008?
10
It was
on
like
the Wii.
10.
That was
Yeah.
10 on Wii, yeah.
Yeah. That one, for some weird reason, if I'm remembering it correctly, maybe I'm mixing this up with 9, but they changed it to be like old Mega Man, so he couldn't charge or slide. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
are you
That was
doing?
9. It was actually both 9 and 10 where he just
Yeah.
lost those abilities.
Which makes sense because they were. It makes sense from the standpoint that they're trying to do a throwback to like 1 through 4. Okay, I get it, but
7 and 8 you could slide.
Yeah, and I think you could in 6 too. It's been a hot minute since I played 6.
At least
But
in 6 you could charge the shot.
Yeah, and so that's what I was looking for in Mega Man 11. And so after watching the trailer, I'm very happy that they went towards the more later titles of Mega Man as opposed to the earlier ones, because one of the things that I loved about Mega Man was just finding the patterns, where to dash, where to duck, where to slide, and where to jump. That's what made Mega Man fun to me. So when you remove those elements to the patterns, the attack patterns, you're taking a piece out of the fun puzzle for me.
See, my hope is that if Mega Man 11 does well enough, that Capcom will venture into some of the more obscure side Mega Man games, like
Legends 3. Legends 3. Take me to the moon.
Please. It's all I wanted for 3DS.
I've been waiting for that game since the 3DS. I will never forgive you, Capcom.
No, they said they'd at least see how the demo did, and they didn't even release the demo. Like,
it makes me wonder though, how much of it is Capcom and how much of it is Keiji Inafune? Like, I know it's like
both.
It's blasphemous to talk any kind of trash about Inafune, but I think the whole Mighty Number 9 debacle puts him in a different light, and it makes me wonder how much of these choices come down to him being overly ambitious and unable to stay focused, because it wasn't just Mega Man Legends 3 that was canceled. It was Mega Man Universe and that weird Mega Man Online game that was going to come out in only Korea. Like, he was trying to work at 3 games at the same time, and ultimately none of them were released.
Yeah, the plan for Mega Man in like 2011 or 12.
It's also because he left the company. Like, he left the company in like 2006 and 2007. And so this is one of the reasons why Inafune was upgraded to god tier status. When he left the company, he had the chutzpah to criticize the Japanese game industry, which was
Kojima
huge.
Before Kojima was Kojima.
Yeah. And this was like 2006 when he did this. No one did that in 2006, because if you remember the state of the industry in 2006, it wasn't Western games that were on top. It was the Eastern JRPGs. All the Japan games were the ones that were on top. And it wasn't until like 2007 with Call of Duty 4 that really catapulted Western games into the forefront. But since then, he basically got blacklisted from Capcom. And I really think there's a strong correlation between Inafune's criticism of the Japanese industry and them killing his baby.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So next up, we have the update for Mario Tennis. So they're calling this Mario Tennis Aces version 2. They're going to include these following characters: Birdo, Shy Guy, Koopa Troopa, and Petey Piranha will all be playable. There are going to be some new online challenges. There's a co-op challenge that you can play online with your friends. I like this. I kind of wish it was co-op because I don't know a lot of people who actually own this game.
I own it.
You could buy it for me if you want. Anybody out there, just I'll take it.
I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy the hell out of Mario Tennis Aces. Like,
it's good.
The single player isn't the best, but I'm not there for the single player. I'm there to play online and local multiplayer. And the way the game works is it functions extraordinarily well in both modes. And I like the fact that you can see your opponent's connection and choose to play them or not. I'm sorry guys, but if your connection is less than 3 or 4, I'm not playing you.
No, agreed with that.
Yeah, I'm not about that life.
But it does leave a lot to be desired with the lacking single player. The online is where it's at, but there's little else to do. So if you're not really in the mood for the online, there's no mini games or anything else, which really bugged me. But the online co-op is something that It's nice to see it there. Finally, should have been there from the start, but we're getting it eventually, and I hope we get more. They need more still. It's still
You
not
know
enough.
I'm just gonna say, as someone who hasn't played Mario Tennis since the 64 era, like all y'all are spoiled. We didn't have no story mode in Mario Tennis 64.
But in Mario
GameCube?
Power Tennis, Mario Power Tennis on GameCube, that revolutionized the series. There is no Mario Tennis that is better than that one, and it's kind of upsetting.
Next, you're gonna be saying that Double Dash was the best one, and nothing ever comes close.
It's a top tier.
Oh, get out!
No. I left the room for a minute, and I heard some blasphemy being spoken. Double Dash is the best Mario Kart game, without a doubt.
I don't know.
It's got some balancing issues, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but it is really good.
It's the last time we got like individualized weapons in a Mario Kart game.
But the individualized weapons are broken. Babies are the best.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes, the babies are the best.
But that's not. So I have to pick babies in order to have any fun in the game.
Just get over it, man. Get used to it. Pick the babies.
This is a problem. You're going into a Mario Kart game, looking to have fun. It's like playing Monopoly and expecting your relationships to be intact by the end of it. You don't do that.
Super Mario Party has me so excited, by the way. I cannot wait.
We're not there yet.
I can ruin online friendships in the Mario-thon.
Enough of this
segue to Super Mario Party.
No. We're gonna hold it because I'm excited about this next set of games. The Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle. I love this. Beat 'em Up games were a staple of the '90s arcade. That's the era in which I grew up.
Yep.
And there is a handful of games that Capcom put out that have me really excited in this bundle. So first off, we're going to get Final Fight. We're going to get King of Dragons, Captain Commando, Knights of the Round, and Warrior of Fate. But for the first time ever released on console, we're getting Armored Warriors and Battle Circuit. Super excited about these games. Final Fight is a classic. Now, they haven't been able to fix that franchise since that original game. But it is a classic. But I'm really excited to see Captain Commando on this list because, man, it's been a long time since I played Captain Commando.
Yeah.
And he gets all this love in the Marvel vs. Capcom franchise, but he has not had his own game in quite a while.
God, it's been like 20 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
As someone who was born right when these games came out, I did not have a lot of connection with these games. I went back and I played Final Fight, the original, but that's about it. I'm glad to see this for the fans of them. But I think it's really cool to see Armored Warriors and Battle Circuit just because
giant robots.
Yeah, well,
giant
that
robots.
That too, but just we never got to see them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I gotta say this is one of those things that I don't think you get unless you grew up in the arcade era. There was something about being in these dimly lit, smoky
I don't get it, man. I have to admit, I can't pose.
Putting your quarter on the thing so you could play side-scrolling beat 'em up action games. There's just something about it, like it's really dumb because I openly acknowledge these are nostalgia goggles. I mean, they're fun games. Don't get me wrong, but like, there's the real attachment comes from being in those arcades from the 90s. You know what I mean? Right?
Oh, of course. Like, there's just something about just the way an arcade feels that can't really be replicated. I was at Dave & Buster's on Tuesday, and I know Dave & Buster's is a far cry from, the arcades of old, but it's still a pretty different experience than doing what we do now, where we sit on our booties and we get online and we talk trash to 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys do?
Usually it's the other way around. I try and be like, hey, yo, your mama thinks that you should go to bed. And that's the extent of my insult these days, because I don't know what the hell they use. And then they use some slang that I don't know. I live a sad life.
Well, apparently everything is lit.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Everything's lit.
Anyway, back to Dave.
How much trash do you think Reggie Fils-Aimé gets talked to on the battle bus in Fortnite?
Oh,
I wanna.
Oh,
Yeah, but
Reggie.
I was at Dave and Buster's with my fiance, and it's just a different experience. Like, it's kind of hard to get her to sit down and play, anything other than Splatoon. But like when we're at Dave and Buster's, she gets like fully engrossed in the games there, and it's more about the experience of what an arcade is. Only like yes, you're there for the games, but the experience of an arcade cannot be replicated. We have not been able to do it in the home market. You can add online, you can add voice chat, but there's just something about the spirit of competition that is severely different in an arcade. Like I go back and I look at playing Street Fighter, as an 8-year-old in the arcades, and just getting bodied, and not just getting bodied, but getting lambasted afterwards. Dude, you suck. You should go home. You go home and practice. Don't ever come back here. You're terrible. Like, you should kill yourself. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm 8. But still, like, but that kind of beat down only made me strive to get better at those games, and then go back and beat those older kids, and then be like, oh, and then get my butt kicked physically for beating those older kids. I mean, that's what arcades were. That's the experience. That's not going to happen at a Dave & Buster's now, but it happened in arcades back in the old school days.
That's because Dave & Buster's caters to normies too much.
So I just want to put my 2 cents in. I'm familiar with those kind of scenarios, not as much as you are, I'm sure. But when I go to like Dave & Buster's, I'm all about that ticket winning. I am so good at winning tickets.
Christ.
This lamp, I have a guitar lamp next to me. I don't know if I can show it. It's on a cord. This lamp, along many other things that I've won at arcades, my pride and joy. I have a friend who's good at claw machines, friends who's good at Tetris. We clean shop. One guy's just good at Dance Dance Evolution and Guitar Hero. We clean them out. Scoreboards, tickets, stuffed animals everywhere.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I did the dickish thing I could possibly have done the other day when we were there at Dave & Buster's. I went because they have the Mario Kart Arcade Deluxe at our Dave & Buster's, and that's a 4-player where everybody sits in the little car and you race, and you got the gas pedal, the steering wheel, and all that.
Don Chan's the best character.
I was playing as Baby Mario because you got to play with the babies, Jaden.
Traitor.
I was playing as Baby Mario, and in the cars next to me were like a 7-year-old, a 9-year-old, and maybe a 6-year-old. And I'm not gonna lie, I brutalized those children.
Oh, how dare you!
If it looks like I'm judging you, I am
100%
judging you right now. That is an accurate look.
It was so funny because my fiance is recording me play, so I'm gonna upload this soon. And you can hear her saying, "Oh, Den," as I throw a green shell and smash the 8-year-old with the green shell. I won that race. If I have to pay 6.8 credits to play the game, I'm going to win.
All right. On to the next one. New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe.
Wait. You should have seen the look on the parents' face when I got up and was like claiming victory. Oh, they were giving me the dirtiest, saltiest looks. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. I'm a little bit excited about this game. I know these games get a lot of hate because the formula doesn't change, but these are great couch co-op games. I have never not played with a group of 4. I'm always playing with 4 people. It's always fun to watch the friendships break in real time. And these games are really good, and they've made a few changes to this game. The first being they've added Nabbit to the game, and Nabbit is impervious to damage. So he's going to be like Funky Kong in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Switch. And now they've added Toadette as a playable character, and she's got a nice little upgrade. If she grabs a power crown, she can turn into Peachette, and this will allow her to do double jumps, float slowly during free fall, and allows her to boost back up if she falls into a pit. Again, she is another speedrunner's dream for these Mario games. The game will also include new Super Luigi U for free. This is going to be released on January 11th. I think this is a really good game for the Switch. Now, it's definitely not the best Mario game, but you really can't go wrong with side-scrolling Mario.
I I'm very excited for this. I know there's a lot of people who aren't excited for it. They kind of want it to fail, so they never make another 2D Mario again. But I've been crying for Mario Maker for quite some time, but that cry is shifted for actually the Super Mario Bros. U specifically, which is also then transitioned into the cry for Super Mario Bros. Wii. And I really wish that they had actually put 3 games: Super Mario Bros. U, Super Luigi U, and Super Mario Bros. Wii, all in this package. That would have made my life. Because I don't know, I feel like the Wii was just the definitive of these.
Are you talking about 3D World?
No, Wii. So of Super Mario Bros. U, Luigi U, and the Wii 2D side scroller.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It had Blue Toad, who's my. I'm gonna be so upset if Blue Toad is not actually in this game, because Blue Toad is the best Toad.
See,
if they don't,
when they announced Captain Toad, I wholeheartedly expected them to announce Super Mario 3D World, and it was kind of like a sideswipe when they announced this particular game. Not that I'm disappointed by any stretch of the imagination. I think this is a really good game. One of the best couch co-op games you can play with your friends.
Agreed.
I still wish they would have added some online to this game, which doesn't look like they've done, because this would be a really fun game to play online with your friends. If you just don't have the option of couch co-op. Yeah. But still, I like this game. I like the changes they've added, and I like the fact that Super Luigi U is going to be part of this bundle. So, yeah, it's a pretty good get, in my opinion.
It would be a better get if they added Wii into it. It would have been better.
Agree. All right, so next up we have Katamari Damacy Reroll. Never played this game, so anyone here?
Katamari Damacy was a great game. It was a cult classic, mostly because it's super bizarre.
Yeah.
The entire idea is that you roll shit into a ball. Not just like, we're talking like literally you go from like tiny things like pieces of paper and paper clips to fucking houses and cows, and then beyond that. So it's literally just the most random things, and it also had a killer soundtrack. The soundtrack was fantastic, and the art style was just super bizarre. So it's a cult classic. It was never really super popular back in the day, from what I remember. But it did have a cult following. People who bought the game every single time. I'm one of them, so.
I got introduced to it from my friend, but it is great because it's a phenomenal soundtrack. It's weirdly bizarre, but it's a great sort of relaxation game.
It's very relaxing,
It's a very relaxing, but it's also like an adventure, too. It's like the best relaxing adventure you could have, which I like.
The way they set up the worlds in that game is very interesting. Think of it like, what do they used to call those books? The I Spy books or whatever? Where they had... Yeah. I don't know if that's still a thing anymore. Where they had all these little picture books of interesting worlds set up. It's kind of similar into that. So sometimes it was just fun to go around and see what everything was going on in this world that you're supposed to destroy to make a new world. But anyway, interesting. Good level design.
Smash Ultimate, please.
Yes.
That would be interesting. I could totally see the characters of Katamari being integrated into Smash, at least as assist trophies.
Oh, I'd be down.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, so next up, Pokemon Let's Go. So we have a couple big pieces of this. We have 2 new Switch bundles being announced for this. I like this bundle. $399 seems expensive, but you get an exclusive Nintendo Switch console with Pokemon Eevee and Pikachu branding. You get the Pokeball Plus. You get a copy of whichever version of the game that you want. So if you buy the Eevee bundle, you get Let's Go Eevee. Buy the Pikachu bundle, you get Pikachu. And you're getting limited edition Pikachu and Eevee Joy-Cons. So
those Joy-Cons are nice.
If you factor in the price of the game and the Pokeball Go Plus,
it's $100.
You should, that's actually $120. So you're saving you're saving a crap ton of money by buying this bundle instead of buying a Switch, the ball, and the game separately. So I think this is a fairly good deal.
There's also the bundle of just the game and the Pokeball Plus, which is $100 though too. So you're saving with that as well. So it's like that bundle with the Switch. So yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the game itself, the trailer did indicate that there are no more HMs. Your
Mhm.
partner Pikachu or your partner Eevee will now do the bulk of that. So Pikachu will
Mhm.
be able to surf, cut. Same applies for Eevee. Eevee has this new balloon thing. I assume that's going to be taking the place of Fly, where like the way they showed it was the girl was sitting in a swing that was being lifted up by balloons. Very cool. And now they're going to have their own special techniques as far as attacks. So these remind me of Z moves being integrated into the Pokemon Let's Go franchise, but they're exclusive to Pikachu and Eevee. So nice changes. Glad that they're getting rid of HMs. That way you don't have to have an HM slave Pokemon on your team. So that's nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, moving on. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection will be released for the Switch. Not a huge Diablo fan, so if anybody has anything to say, speak your piece because I cannot speak on this game.
I think we've talked about it pretty much before. I think the only thing that we add new with this is I think we got a date, right? October something or other. No,
I do like the amiibo support where you can
Yeah.
play as like Ganon.
Ganondorf, yeah.
Yeah. that was about it. Far from what I remember.
I've played 3 a bit. It's good. It's not
It's
great. It's good. I like it. It's
gotten better with
glad
the
to see it on
updates.
Switch. Yeah, I'll agree with that. One thing that I feel like people are kind of ignoring is that like everyone makes the joke that Skyrim's imported to every single console, which I mean Diablo's not on Alexa yet, so I don't know. but Diablo's been on a lot of systems at this point, and it's
Well, that's because it's Blizzard. Blizzard is
Yeah.
the equivalent of I don't freaking know, but Blizzard cannot be criticized. Otherwise, I don't know. You're a horrible person that has bad taste. It's really stupid. This is one of those things that grinds my gears about the gaming community, where I'm just be like,
double standard.
yeah, but Overwatch is kind of too Team Fortressy 2 for my taste. And they'd be like, oh my god, you're a terrible person. I'm like, no, Blizzard really only has 2 IPs, and they need to do more. Like, come on, Blizzard.
Mhm.
But whatever.
All right.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh well.
All right, so next up, Super Mario Party.
Oof.
Every time they show this game, I want it more.
Yeah.
Yes.
8 brand new mini games. Brand new mini games. 8, and then there are going to be co-op gameplay sessions where you can play on the 4 players, same team to complete new mini games. All that sounds awesome. Of course, they still have like the black magic screens that we discussed.
Yeah, I don't freaking know how to do
talked about this. This game is going to be so good. I am so excited about Super Mario Party. I cannot wait for that game to come out.
Yep.
I'm kind of
waiting that much longer.
I'm kind of disappointed that there's 80 all new minigames though. I want to see my old classics.
Well,
I want to see my old returning minigames.
I don't think
like-
they've said that if none of the classics are there.
They made it sound that way in direct to me.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that they get like a free content update over time, or get like retro games just like in updates over time. That's what I'm kind of hoping.
That'd be kind of cool. I agree. Here's hoping.
So, I agree. So the next game is one that I'm super excited about, and it came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Game
this is
Freak
interesting.
has a new game.
Yes.
Game Freak, creators of Pokemon, have a new game called Town, and I
Working title.
love the way this game looks.
Mhm.
I don't care if they change the name. I hope they keep it the same because it looks really good.
Mhm.
It looks good graphically. This game looks fantastic. It's like this cross between Pokemon and Yokai Watch. It's
I
like
was about
if you
to say,
managed to like create if you were to fuse the 2 art styles between those 2 games, you get Town. And
It's
it looks
very level
gorgeous.
5.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
very level 5.
What it reminded me a lot of was Ever Oasis, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could totally see that.
Which I really like the style of Ever Oasis, so this game is very intriguing.
Mhm.
I'm really interested to know more.
Yeah.
Because the combat system, it's supposed to be turn-based, but the combat system doesn't really look very turn-based, not in the way that we're used to turn-based. So
Yeah, it
that
kinda
is
looked a little bit like the Xenoblade like battle system.
yeah, kind of. So I'm very curious to see how that pans out.
It almost looks like, since you have a small world being just the town, that the world goes on as the battle goes on. So, like, you got the guys at the market just buying the groceries while you're fighting the monster, and you can look over and do that, and he'll like pass you a leaf of lettuce, and the lettuce has the properties to heal you in battle, and so it's
we'll
like
see.
the town interacts with the battle, which I kind of like, because the world
I think what's
interacts.
most interesting though about this game is that it's a Game Freak game, and Game Freak has been silently moving away from Pokemon game. Last year they had a game, and then the year before they had Pocket Jockey,
Yes.
which was the horse game, and
Mhm.
they had, I can't remember the game that they released last year, but and then they had that one game where it's like you're a ninja and you have to like attack with music.
Yeah. So they had Harmo Knight.
That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I loved Harmo Knight.
There we go.
I liked Giga Wrecker, which is on Steam, which blew my mind. They made a game exclusive to Steam.
Yeah,
And
that's weird.
we had I just had it, now I've forgotten. Pocket Card Jockey, you said it, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, sort of time passers. Especially for the 3DS. Like, it's a game I can always kind of go back to. Because it kind of takes like a good breeding Pokemon element and just puts it with horse racing and cards. It's the breeding element gets me the most in that game, I'd say.
I remember the other game that they released. It was Timbo the Badass Elephant.
What? How have I not heard of that?
Yeah, it's only for the PS4 and Xbox. But
really?
Yeah. So in 2013 they released Pocket Card Jockey. 2015 Timbo the Badass Elephant. 2017 Giga Wrecker. And then they're going to be working on Town. So they've been making, obviously they had a Bulldozer in 2005. But yeah, they've been silently slipping away from Pokemon, and it started with pretty much Harmo Knight.
Yeah.
No, I just love it when Game Freak steps away from Pokemon, because it's the thing is they've been working on Pokemon games for over 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to see them, venture outside and try these other things. And Harmo Knight was a good game, and I'm so mad that I forgot the name. Pocket Card Jockey was just a great time waster. That was like the game that you play when like you're in between, like
a doctor's
appointment,
appointment,
when you're on lunch break at work, or you're in between classes, or when you just have that extra like 5 minutes to kill. That's when you play Pocket Card Jockey.
Yeah. And you stole the words right out of my mouth. I was actually going to say that when you froze, is that I love it when they branch off from Pokemon. It's such a nice, refreshing take, but I know I can love it and enjoy it because Game Freak's doing it. So
but it's interesting to see them working on an RPG, because the other games that they've messed with, they tend to stay away from the RPG genre.
Because that's what Pokemon does.
Exactly. So it's weird to see them doing something. Now, will Town be successful? Will it reach the same heights as Pokemon? Probably not. But from what they showed in this trailer, I definitely think it's one of the games that they could branch out into and like make sequels, because that's the one thing that I've noticed is they have branched out, but no game has had a sequel yet.
No Harmo Knight 2.
This isn't like your Square Enix Bravely Default, where like Bravely Default 2 comes out, and then there are rumors of Bravely Default 3 are on the horizon. So especially after, although I would rather have them work on an Octopath Traveler sequel at this point, because that game is awesome. But still, yeah, I'm so happy to see Game Freak just branching out and doing new stuff. It allows them to come back to Pokemon with fresh eyes. All right, next up is Cities Skyline Nintendo Switch Edition. I believe this is a PC game.
Yeah, it was originally a PC game that was released shortly after SimCities and did better than SimCities because it was what SimCities was supposed to have been. Long story short, if you like SimCity, you should pick up this game because it's much better. And the fact that you can take it on the go is really good. So if you don't like SimCity, then maybe it's a skip. And that's really all there is to say about it.
Yeah.
It's a sim game.
That's all there is to say. Yeah, agreed.
All right, so I guess the next one is a big one. Daemon X Machina. I know Jaden has been anticipating this game, and I'm pretty sure the announcement of online co-op has him stoked.
More than the online co-op, it was the what I was actually looking at was the robots and being able to get out, and the size of it in scale with everything else in the world, because the guy who does the robots is the same guy who has designed Gundams for a couple of the different Gundam series. So very famous guy. So that's what I was actually more interested in. The online co-op is cool. I'm totally gonna be playing with people, but more than anything, I love a sexy robot. I mean,
now, and we talked about this last time, but this game is being developed by Marvelous Studios, who has an amazing track record.
Yeah.
They make great games, and not just for PlayStation and Xbox. They make great games on every console they manage to get their hands on. So I'm excited to play this, and I love the customization where like you can destroy an enemy and then equip the parts that break off of them onto your mech immediately. You don't you break them, you take their parts, and then they're yours to battle with. I love that.
Yeah.
And the customization even goes down to the humanoid that's piloting the mech. All of that really dope. Daemon X Machina is going to be a huge game for Nintendo in 2019. I just don't see how this game doesn't catch anybody's attention. And the art style is it's great because it invokes like the giant mech stuff, but it also has like great that cell shading art style that I personally have come to appreciate from games like the Wind Waker and basically games like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is like kind of taking cell shading to a whole new level. So excited about Daemon X Machina.
One thing I want to talk about just about Marvelous real fast, not even Marvelous, but if we could get a character either from Marvelous, Level 5, or Atlas in Smash, which one would you like? I'm curious.
I'm pretty sure, if we're being realistic, the character that's most likely to show up in Smash is an Atlas character. I mean, sword fighters...
What about Layton?
Have a whole bunch of space in Smash for some reason.
True,
Layton's
but Professor
weird.
Layton, he's weird. That's why he's perfect.
Personally, if I had a choice, I'd rather see like Phoenix Wright in a Smash game.
That's
I
Capcom.
agree. Yeah.
But yeah,
I know.
He's
like if I'm gonna have a point and click adventure character, I'd pick Phoenix Wright over.
agreed.
Layton.
I would agree with
All
that.
right. So next up, Yoshi's Crafted World. Not a whole lot to say about this game other than the fact that I think it looks infinitely better than when they showed it at E3 in, I guess it was 2017, because they didn't show this game this year. It looks a lot better, and I like that it has like a flip side mode where you can play the courses in reverse. But that being said, it looks pretty similar to Yoshi's Woolly World. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, I feel like this game took too long to come out and is not innovating on the Yoshi front.
No, I don't think it really is. And I'm almost wondering if they should innovate, and if they should, how do they innovate at this point? I feel like Yoshi's kind of for the most part, it's solved. It's a solved kind of formula for the game. You could only either do spin-offs, which aren't the same thing, or you take the series in sort of a direction that you might think is good, some people might not. Like you end up with New Island, got some very mixed reviews, even though it was, attempting to be that formula people liked. It had some new stuff, people didn't like that. Plus, it's a dated formula as well. You have to think about, like, not all these games live up with the same formula in this modern gaming era. Things get stale. I don't know. So,
Very true.
I feel like Yoshi's kind of in a weird predicament in that
Agreed.
regard. I don't know.
Well, and it's weird because, like, this is the second, I would say, spin-off game that they're trying to treat like a mainline game. So it makes me wonder if Yoshi mainline games will continue to be in this woolly, crafted style.
I'm happy we have Yoshi. It's good to see a character that has a not as big as Pokemon, Mario, Zelda. He doesn't push units, but he's not forgotten, like, say, F-Zero, Ice Climbers, Kid Icarus, which I'm waiting for my new Kid Icarus game. He gave me Uprising. I loved Uprising. Please. Please. But I'm glad to see him not being forgotten. He's still getting games, and we don't have to wait for 10 years for a new Yoshi game like some others.
Exactly. All right, so next up we have a handful of games from Asmodee. I can't even say this name. Carcassonne, Lord of the Rings, the Living Card Game, Pandemic, Catan Universe, Munchkin. All these games are popular tabletop card games. I've
Mhm.
never played any of them. I have nothing to say on them. I think it's great that the Switch is getting games like this, but it
Mhm.
makes me wonder why Activision Blizzard isn't releasing oh my god, what's it called? Their stupid card game that they have that's really
Hearthstone?
popular. Hearthstone. There you go. Wow. Yeah, it makes me
Okay.
wonder why Activision Blizzard isn't putting Hearthstone on the Switch. I think it's like the perfect fit for the
Mhm.
Switch, especially now that we're seeing other tabletop card games
Yeah.
making their way onto the Switch. I'm starting to think that Activision Blizzard needs to get their stuff together with this game.
Agreed. I've played Pandemic and I've played Catan, and I'm excited for that. I've played Munchkins, but from what I can tell, it's not gonna be the card game. It's gonna be a weird dungeon crawler, they said. So I don't know what to expect from that. But I'm fans of what I've seen. I'm glad they're here. The others, I don't care too much about them, honestly. Like, I'm glad they're here, but I'm not gonna rush out to buy Pandemic again or anything.
But they just make sense for the platform. If I'm being
It
honest,
does, yeah.
it's more about them making sense for the platform rather than my general interest in them.
I agree with that, yeah. But I think it's actually good for the Lord of the Rings card game that Hearthstone isn't on here to compete. I think that'll sort of boost it, just gives it a chance to succeed where Hearthstone won't just kill any imitators who try to be on the Switch.
True.
So I think it's good for just the company to get that on the Switch before Hearthstone happens. I don't know.
The next game we're going to talk about though is one that I'm not necessarily excited for, but I totally see the merit of it being on the Switch, pretty much just like the Asmodee games that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sid Meier's Civilization 6.
Mm-hmm.
Popular franchise. It's been popular for decades now.
Mm-hmm.
Very good get for the Switch. I mean, I know that's a really big game, but it's also not graphically intensive, so I think the Switch can totally handle a game like this. And I know Mario After Party is so happy that this game is coming out.
Yeah, I know a lot of Civ fans. I never actually played Civ. That's the excuse I need to get into it. The one thing I'm hearing though is that Civ 6 isn't good. 5 is the best. 6 is meh at best, which I'm like kind of hesitant about then, but also I don't know. No excuse now either. So
I honestly haven't played a Civilization game since 3, and that one wasn't so good. 2 is better in my opinion, but I mean, I'm glad that it's there. I think it's very good for fans of this that they have the portability option with the Switch. And I think that's what has a lot of people excited about this announcement.
Yeah, because the game can be kind of daunting, and that's why it's daunting for me. One turn can take several hours in like late game. And that's something I can't really afford to play once it gets kind of late game like that. So
exactly.
Portability definitely is a boost for that.
Exactly. Next up is a game that I'm highly anticipating, and the more they show of it, the more I want it. Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Yes.
We've talked about this game extensively. This is the game from Ubisoft that will use NFC characters and is going to do the thing that Nintendo couldn't do, is that they're giving us an R-Wing an R-Wing in an amiibo form, essentially. So yeah, and the update that they showed here for this game was that the Star Fox missions are more than just a cameo. It's like a set of missions that will include Fox McCloud, Peppy, Falco, and Slippy Toad. They will be your backup team in this game. And then they showed Star Wolf as the antagonist of those missions.
He misses the food back on Corneria, though, but understandable, I guess.
So yeah, that is so cool. Like, at first, when they showed Star Fox as being in the game during E3 this year, that got me hyped. But the fact that it's more than just a mere crossover, that Star Fox has his own set of missions, that's phenomenal to me.
Yeah. I'm extraordinarily excited for this game. I don't know why, but it looks so good. It looks so fun. It looks cool to explore, to play. Star Fox, just enough said with that. But I'm also concerned that it is Toys to Life. I'm running out of room for my amiibos as it is. I'm running out of money for my amiibos as it is. Unfortunately, and I'm worried about like the longevity of it too. I feel like if you make a game like the Toys to Life games aren't sustainable, I feel. And I think that's the big issue. And if
Well, I
you,
think what killed the Toys to Life is the whole like conceit of them being annualized. I think
hmm
if you space, the Toys to Life games out so that they
hmm
don't come out every year,
yeah,
they might they might sit better. And that
yeah,
gives you time to make a better game in general. It doesn't
yeah.
hurt that this is a cross-platform title, like it's going to be on the Xbox and the PS4. So, considering the audiences that those two consoles have, it makes me hope that they're trying to skew this game so that it fits a more all ages, you know, uh, you know,
What
fan base.
mature could play it. Whereas
Yeah,
Skylanders, as an adult, I could not play Skylanders. Disney Infinity, I might
it's true.
play because of the sandbox or toy box mode, but there's no appeal beyond that.
And as hype as I am about the whole Star Fox connection that it has,
hmm
this game does really remind me of No Man's Sky,
Yeah.
but like hopefully it's better than what No Man's Sky was at
Well,
launch.
well, with
At launch.
No Man's Sky, yeah, it got better. But with No Man's Sky, it's just because it was aimless and mindless. There was no objective, and there was little motive to play. With this, there's a story. There's constantly things to do. There's missions, side quests that's No Man's Sky just doesn't have, and still kind of struggles with to an extent. Um, and I feel like it should avoid all problems. It only looks that way because it's got similar themes and similar graphics. And I totally see it too, but it looks fun. It looks like I want to come back to this world, to the Atlas star system. I want to explore it. I like with No Man's Sky, you have a game that's like you're supposed to explore, but a lot of time you don't want to explore it either. This I want to explore. There's a lot to it
Yeah,
that I like.
exactly. So yeah, I'm excited about this game, and I'm excited about the prospects of the game. The Star Fox crossover aspect of it
hmm
is something that I really look forward to, and I just have high hopes for this game. And I don't necessarily think that Ubisoft is going to drop the ball on this. And Ubisoft has had a nice track record on the Switch with Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, so I'm just
hmm
hoping that they're able to really capitalize on this. And their Nintendo crossovers have been very true to what
hmm
Nintendo is. Like, as silly as a game like Mario plus Rabbids is, the Mario characters themselves were very true to form, and the same can be said about the Donkey Kong DLC. Like,
hmm
those characters feel the way they should feel, which is good. And I hope that they take that same kind of like ferocity that they had to protect the Nintendo IP in that game as they do in this game. Like, I want Star Fox to feel like Star Fox. I want playing to feel like playing a Star Fox game.
So far, it seems very accurate to what we've seen. And I like how Luigi dabs like you'd expect Luigi to dab in a Nintendo game. That made my heart just melt. But jokes aside, there. Um, it comes out. Starlink Battle for Atlas comes out very soon. Actually, it comes out like this coming up
October
month. Yeah,
17th.
yeah, it's coming up, which has
We're
me
like a
kind of
month away.
worried for my wallet because I'm not in a good spot financially right now.
Oh,
But
and it's an
also,
expensive game if you
I
get the
know.
Switch bundle.
Yeah, that's just Toys to Life in general is expensive though. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see when we cross that bridge, but I'm definitely excited for it. I thought for sure it'd take longer for this game to come out too. This came out fairly quickly, which is I'm glad.
Yeah, well, I mean, they announced it 2 E3s ago. And
Was it two?
yeah,
I guess it was two. Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
two
Okay.
E3s ago.
Seems
But
like just
it
yesterday.
was quiet for a while on that front. But
Mhm.
since this E3, they've been pretty forward in putting this game into the forefront of our minds. I feel like they're pushing this game more than they're pushing the other game that looks really dope for the Switch. Can't remember. It's the one with all the motorcycles and you're basically killing yourself doing stunts.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Trials, not
Trials,
Fusion,
yeah.
but the new one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the new Trials game, like I feel like it's gone to the wayside while
Mhm.
they've really pushed this game.
I feel like when they're pushing this game, it means it's got to be good. I feel like they were pushing Nintendo and Ubisoft are pushing Mario plus Rabbids, and it was good. I think if they push it, they know it'll be as good as they hope it will, but they want to make sure it gets the audience that it deserves, so they push it a bit more. Trials has its fan base, it's smaller fan base, but it will sell what it needs to sell at the same time. A new IP is always kind of a precious thing where it's like it has to succeed. It has to succeed.
Well, that's what makes this crossover so appealing is that like the overall game is a new IP, but the fact that you're going to have like these characters that, for the most part, you should know because they're they're Nintendo mainstays.
Yeah.
Like that gives the game some clout, at least on the Switch front. Xbox and PS4 users, on the other hand, won't have these characters to play with.
Yeah, agreed.
But next up, we have a game that I adored on the DS. The World Ends With You Final Remix. I love this game on the DS. I love this game on iOS as well. So excited that this game is coming on the Switch, and it's going to have new content, which the iOS version did not have. So there's new story content in this game. This is a great game. This is made by the same team that makes Kingdom Hearts, so it has a great art style. The characters are really endearing. Even though Neku is kind of a dick when you start this game, you do grow to love him as a character. He's not like Travis Touchdown where you love to hate him.
No, The World Ends With You is great. I played the DS version, not the iOS version. I'm so excited to rediscover it. I'm a bit hesitant. It's like a $40 game though, right? Which is a bit. I'm not sure I want to pay $40 for it. I got my another used copy from at GameStop recently for like $8. So
my thing is that like I want them to make a sequel to this game so bad.
I think this is.
I keep buying it on every platform.
Right.
Every time they release it on a new platform, I buy it because I really want them to just
take your money more.
To this game. Now, what I do like is that the characters have been incorporated into Kingdom Hearts.
I was about to transition to that actually. Yeah, in Dream Drop Distance.
Yeah, so these characters are at the forefront of Square's mind. So hopefully.
Oh, you're frozen.
Great to the Kingdom Hearts franchise.
You froze for a bit there.
Yeah, I was just saying. Hopefully that, if at the very least they don't put the, don't release a sequel, that they, at the very least, add them to, more integration into Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay, got it.
Next up, they showed a lot more of Xenoblade Chronicles Torn of the Golden Country DLC. I like the fact that this is being released as a standalone game. I don't really want to talk about this game now because I want to play it before I have any real thoughts on it. So, because the Xenoblade games, they're really hard to discuss unless you have a grasp on them.
Yeah. I'm not as stoked as a standalone game. I think, Super Luigi U is a standalone game, and that was free. Or at least in the other sense on the Wii U, it was paid DLC. But it's also big enough to be its own game. Granted, Xenoblade is bigger than a lot of other things, more ambitious. But I'm glad that it's happening. I'm glad that because it's coming at a time when I'm actually really, really itching to go back and rediscover Xenoblade 2. Also,
exactly.
Xenoblade.
I've had that same itch ever since I beat that game. I've been wanting to replay it, but the problem with that game is that that's a game that needs to be sat on. Like you can't just dive right back into that game. You need to let it rest, let the themes of that game sit with you, analyze them, and appreciate them, and then come back to them at a later time. And in my mind, that's a game that I'll probably, like I was saying earlier this episode, there are games that I play like maybe once a year. This is a game I see myself playing once every 2 to 3 years.
Agreed. I didn't have the same itch right after I beat it, but I definitely have the itch now, like beginning of September, late August, is like, I kind of want to play a Xenoblade game. And I don't want to go back and play X set up on Wii U, even though I really want to play X. 2 was in the forefront. Isn't that DLC / new game coming out soon, though? Maybe I should look at that.
Yeah, I also, at the end of this month.
I also just got an email from Nintendo 2 days ago.
Actually, it's out now. If you have the DLC pack, if you bought the DLC bundles, you can play the game now.
Yes.
So it comes out next week, actually.
I think it's going to fly under the radar for even fans who have the first game, though. Like, I don't know why. I feel like it's flying under my radar for a bit. But I got an email from Nintendo for a download code for some extra items in the main game. So I'm glad I got those. So check your emails if you haven't. You might have a code too.
All right, so I want to quick fire these next few titles just because there are so many and Nintendo didn't really provide a lot of info on them. So we had Warframe, Just Dance 2019, FIFA 2019, Team Sonic Racing, NBA 2K19, NBA 2K Playgrounds 2, Lego DC Supervillains, all those games coming on the Switch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not interested in almost all of these games. The only game here that really gets me excited is Team Sonic Racing, and even then, the Sonic Racing games always kind of feel a little bit like bootleg Mario Kart games.
Yeah.
But I applaud Sega for trying to enter that wheelhouse and competing on that front, even though Mario Kart pretty much has it on lock, and we still don't know if we're gonna get a Mario Kart 9 on the Switch.
No. I think there's not much needs to be said. They are games, and they're coming to the Switch. That's all you need to know from me.
So next up, we have a smorgasbord of games from Square Enix, and all of these games get me so hyped. My wallet in 2019 is gonna cry.
Yeah, this blew my mind.
So Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles was announced last week, but you could tell that it was kind of tied. The announcement was supposed to be tied to the Direct just because of the timing of when it was announced. It was announced the same day as the Direct was supposed to happen. But Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles HD, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles has a special place in my heart because before this game came out, Nintendo and Square had drama, and Square did not release a single game on the Nintendo 64. And when they finally did make a game for a Nintendo console, it was for the GameCube, and it was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. And it's just a great game. Not the best Final Fantasy game by any stretch of the imagination, but it has a special place in my heart. I want to talk more about the Square Nintendo beef of the Nintendo 64 era in a later episode, because it does merit a conversation. But we don't have enough time to get into that today because we are running long, because we have so much to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles was announced. Also tied to that leak was Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, which is available now, at least the first episode. I have not played this game in any format. I did download it on my mobile device. I haven't had a chance to play it yet because I was crossing my fingers for a Switch release. Because I knew that if we were going to get any version of Final Fantasy 15, it would be the Pocket Edition. So excited that it is on the Switch. And even though the art style leaves much to be desired, as far as I can tell, the story is identical. They're not changing any of the story or any of the actual missions that you will be partaking in the Pocket Edition. Whether that will hold true or not is an entirely different story, but I'm glad to see that it's here. We finally have Final Fantasy 15 on the Nintendo Switch. Next up, World of Final Fantasy Maxima Edition. Now, this is a game that I believe was exclusive to the PS4, and it's a bit of an oddball Final Fantasy game. But I really like the art style in this game. The way the chibi characters look. Kind of wish that they had applied that to the Pocket Edition of Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Very good game. As far as I've heard good things about this game, but I've also heard bad things about this game.
I was not a fan, honestly. I love the art, but it's lacking everywhere else for me.
I look forward to at least getting my hands on it and making the determination myself.
Okay.
One game that I am excited about because I do know that it's good is Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon.
Yes, I'm so
everybody. First off, we don't get enough Mystery Dungeon games here in the West.
Just in general, enough aren't made.
Pokemon explored that genre pretty heavily in the mid-2000s, but then they kind of dropped off of the face of the earth. But
we got Super Mystery Dungeon for a while. We got Etrian Odyssey Mystery Dungeon, and Chocobo is like it. But I don't know did we get Chocobo in the West, actually?
I think we did on the DS. I think.
Okay.
At least I've played the DS version, and it is a very cutesy game, but man, is it a lot of fun. Like, you can't hate on this game because of the art style, because it feels great. Like,
I'm so excited for this. Agreed.
Next up, Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age. Now, there's a long, crazy history to Final Fantasy 12, but we are apparently getting the good version of Final Fantasy 12 with the Zodiac Age. Excited to see this game on a Nintendo platform and portable.
Mhm.
the portability of this will really help this game, in my opinion. All right, so next up, these next 3 games that Square is releasing, I think, have been the talk of the town. Final Fantasy VII,
Mhm.
Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy X and X2 HD Remaster,
10
all
and 10
coming to
too.
the Nintendo Switch in 2019. First off, Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo platform.
Cloud now
And
makes sense in Smash Bros.
not just that, but what I was saying earlier about Square and Nintendo having
That drama.
drama.
Hmm.
That started with Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII began its life as a Super Nintendo game.
Hmm.
But when the platforms changed to the PS1, Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64 era, Square drew a line in the sand, and they decided that CDs were the way to go, and that their next Final Fantasy game would be on a CD platform. Obviously, we all know what it did for the PlayStation 1. I believe the success of Final Fantasy VII directly correlates with the popularity of the PlayStation.
Hmm.
That game looked so good back in 1997
Hmm.
that it literally launched the PlayStation into the stratosphere.
It did.
And all the drama between Nintendo and Square at the time left a bad taste in my mouth because Final Fantasy VI was such a good game. Final Fantasy III here for those unfamiliar with the numbering of the Western Final Fantasy games. But yes, Final Fantasy VI was fantastic. And the fact that Square and Nintendo had any kind of drama to the point where Square would completely not work with them, that says so much about what the console wars were like in that era. And now Final Fantasy VII on the Switch, portable Final Fantasy VII. This is I know it's not the first time because you could do the remote play on the PSP and the PS Vita, but that's not the same as what's happening here. This is a completely portable version of Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo console, and I love that idea. And I love the fact that these 3 games are some of my favorite. I am super upset that Final Fantasy VIII isn't on this list, though. I do have to say that because Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite Final Fantasy game. I don't care what you say about Squall looking like Leonardo DiCaprio. Doesn't matter. That game is dope. But these are all really good gets. Now, X2 10-2 is not my favorite Final Fantasy game, but it's still a pretty good one. I mean, it's still better than 13. Be mad at me if you want.
Well, I'm like they dropped the Final Fantasy bomb. The just got bombarded. Just massive Final Fantasy, overwhelming. There's so much Final Fantasy. There's so much just Square Enix on the Switch right now, and that was a lot all at once for me. That's like I believe 10 games, if not 9. I've had math weird in my head. It was
I honestly
count
think it's the
to 1 game or 2 or blah. I don't know.
I think Square saw the immense like backing that Octopath Traveler got when they did that first demo, and they were like, do the survey, and we'll take these survey results and we'll make the appropriate changes. And I think they were blown away by the amount of people who played Octopath's demo, did the survey, and they're like, this is a viable platform for us. Like, look at all the people that played this demo and the sales for Octopath Traveler. Like, they sold out immediately. Like, it's still kind of hard to find a copy of Octopath Traveler.
Because they didn't expect it to sell as well as it did even.
Exactly. So I think they saw that Octopath was a runaway hit, and they were like, we can utilize this platform to do a greatest hits. And that's what this is. This is a greatest hits.
It really is.
Square titles. I mean, mostly Final Fantasy.
But they have the world ends with you.
Yeah, exactly. So this is like their greatest hits all rolled in to one, portable console. This is so good, and it's so nice to see Square just really working with Nintendo again, especially after all the drama. And like I said, we will definitely talk about the beef between Square and Nintendo in a later episode because it merits its own episode. It merits a full-on episode to talk about drama between the two presidents of these two powerful companies in Japan at that time.
But if this is a greatest hits, where's my Super Mario RPG?
On your Super NES Classic Edition.
I still don't have one, actually. I'm sorry. They came back, and I'm like, I don't really need it. But I'm then like, Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG. But hopefully we just get it on the Switch. Maybe? Fingers crossed. Probably not, but oh well.
I definitely think it'll come.
Hopefully.
All right, so lastly, as far as the Nintendo Switch is concerned, on the game front, more Smash Brothers. Isabelle was announced in Smash, and if you're an Animal Crossing fan, you're probably really happy because not only was Isabelle announced in Smash, but Nintendo trolled us a second time. They trolled us last month with King K. Rool as a playable character with the DDD trailer, but they trolled us even harder this time. They had that whole thing where Tom Nook is like watching the trailer. Well, he was actually watching the direct on his computer. The direct ends, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so proud of Isabelle being in Smash. So good for her. I have my own job to do." And then they did the title card. Welcome to Animal Crossing. So now Animal Crossing fans can finally shut up. You're getting your game, and I'm so happy for you. I know I disparage Animal Crossing a lot, but I'm really happy for the Animal Crossing fans because you guys have been calling for a console Animal Crossing game since the Wii. Not the Wii U, since the Wii, because the Wii U got that terrible Animal Crossing Mario Party style game.
Well, after New Leaf. We had City Folk then to New Leaf, so there wasn't really a good way to do that because Wii and then Wii U flopped. I don't know. I feel like New Leaf was just kind of the way to go. I was, as a huge Animal Crossing fan, I thought it was about... I'm surprised we're getting one this early, honestly. I don't know what all the rest of the fans are talking about. If I get an Animal Crossing within 10 years, I'll be happy. These things take a while to make and a while to localize, in my opinion. So, like, New Leaf, I've been waiting. New Leaf took me, like, heartaches upon heartaches upon heartaches, just waiting for news and release dates and news. So to actually see this happen so soon does make me kind of happy.
And it makes sense. Like the Switch is the perfect platform. If we look at how successful Animal Crossing New Leaf was, and even Happy Home Designer, and how successful, if not like infamous, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp has been, like we're seeing that the Animal Crossing franchise may work best on a portable console, and the fact that the Switch is both home and portable console really makes a lot of sense for there to be an Animal Crossing game on this particular platform. So yeah, I think they were just waiting for the right style of console for Animal Crossing, and they finally have it in the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, you guys are getting your game. I'm happy for you. I know it seems like I'm being facetious, but I'm truly not. All right. So last but not least, we have to talk about, I think, the biggest drag of the Nintendo Direct, and that was the Nintendo Switch Online service. They didn't really make a whole lot of new announcements for the service, so they reiterated the price point. So 1 month is going to be $3.99, 3 months is going to be $7.99, 12 months is going to go for $19.99, and if you have 2 or more accounts on multiple consoles, mind you, not just one system, you can have multiple consoles. You can have a 12-month account for $34.99. It's a good deal. That's a really good deal. No matter how you slice it, these are good price points. The problem being is that we don't know certain things about this. We know that you have to have this to play games online going forward, minus free-to-play games like Fortnite. Fortnite will be able to be played without this service. But we don't know if you're going to have dedicated servers going forward, and that's something we sorely need. I would imagine and I would hope that if you want Smash to work as a competitive online game, that there will be dedicated servers going forward. We cannot have the same kind of debacle that we had on the Wii and the Wii U with Smash. They reiterated that the Nintendo Entertainment System classic games will be there, but now with the ones with multiplayer will have online multiplayer functions. So you can play Dr. Mario, the original Dr. Mario online. Of course, you're going to have your save data cloud, although we're finding out there are certain games that are not compatible with save data with the cloud, like Splatoon 2 being one of them, and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee will also not support the save data cloud. They are going to update the smartphone app so that other games are functional, which is nice because I think that app is lacking a whole lot. I mean, right now it's pretty much just there for Splatnet 2. I feel like they should have rolled out something for ARMS when ARMS was at its peak.
Yeah.
Something should have launched with ARMS, like online voice or something. Or at least like a stat tracker, like how many matches you've won, lost. That should have been integrated. All that stuff is... So we know that more stuff is going to be added to that app, and hopefully they upgrade the voice chat features a little bit more. They also announced special offers for members, but they didn't elaborate on what that is. Although, if you do buy a 12-month membership in Splatoon 2, you will get an exclusive gear set. So we did see that. So basically, they just reiterated everything we already knew, and that's really disappointing because there's still a lot of questions that we have about their online service. And personally, I want them to be striving for, as bad as Xbox is this console generation, you still really can't talk trash about their paid service. Like, it's still probably the best online paid service that there is. And Sony has gotten a lot better, but I mean, they only did paid service this console generation, so there's still a little bit of a learning curve on Sony's end, although the model is fairly similar to what Xbox is doing. But they also have the PlayStation Plus, which is, which kind of expands upon that on their online service, although that's a separate price point in and of itself. All right. But the last thing they did was that they showed something that I'm super excited about. I love this idea. So if you sign up for the Nintendo Switch Online service, you may want to buy yourself a set of these new NES wireless controllers for the Switch. They're going to be retailing at $59.99, and they can be docked onto the Nintendo Switch so that they can be charged. And you can play the NES retro games using a standard NES controller. And it's awesome. I want a pair of these. Now, I like the fact that it's not just one controller. You get two controllers for the price that they're asking, which, I mean, yeah, it's another set of controllers for the Switch, but yeah, if you're going to play these old school NES games, best controller to play with is the original, and I like the idea. Although they are only going to work with the NES classic games that are going to be on the Switch, and they will not work for anything else. And they don't work when they're plugged into the system. So they can't be used for Mario Kart, which totally makes sense because I don't know if you've paid attention to how this system looks when you plug the controller in, but there's no way you're going to be able to play a video game enjoyably like that.
No.
But still, I like the idea of them. And I think I will grab myself a pair because, hell yeah, man, Dr. Mario is one of my favorite games of all time. And with the online functionality of Dr. Mario, I'm going to want to play on that controller.
Just really fast, I want to just say, I can guarantee these controllers are getting scalped. I can guarantee it. It makes me sick. But get them early, guys, because they are getting scalped.
I didn't even think about that, but you're 100% right. I totally see these things being scalped because everything that Nintendo puts out that is dope gets scalped.
So everything that's retro
I totally
gets
see
scalped.
that happen. But still, I mean, I like the idea. And it's cool that they're coming out with a set of controllers to tie into their online service. The only thing is, I really wish they had expanded on the online. This was a 38-minute direct, which is why there was so much to cover in this episode of the Nintendo Power Zone. But they really, really should have just given us the information that we truly want to know about the online service. Are we going to have online, dedicated service for specific games? Like games like ARMS and Splatoon will really benefit from them. It's not so much of an issue with Pokken Tournament because Pokken Tournament uses Bandai servers, and Bandai servers are really good. But, I mean, we have a Smash game coming out fairly soon, like December 7th. We desperately need more information, and we're not getting it. But I guess we'll find out tomorrow, because this service will launch on the 18th of September, which, as of the date of today's recording, is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys want to play your Mario Karts, your Splatoon, and your ARMS online, you got to sign up for the service, and you got to do it fairly quickly. There is a 7-day trial, though, so you can go ahead and sign up for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that pretty much covers the entire Direct. Guys, I know this was a long episode, so I'm going to do my best to break this episode down into segments, just to make this a little bit more digestible for you guys. So I promise I won't make you listen to like a 3-hour long episode all at once. We'll go ahead and break this down. I think I'll do the news segment and the 3DS segment as the first part, and then the Switch stuff all as its own second part, just for that. All right, but Brennan, do you have any closing thoughts on this Direct? What are your overall thoughts on the Direct?
It's very strong. A lot of third-party support that I think the Switch truly needs, and I think we're going to see even more third-party cut down the line. In terms of the first-party stuff, I'm surprised that there's still stuff that we kind of don't know about yet and haven't seen. We haven't seen the Retro Studios project. We haven't seen Metroid Prime 4. We haven't seen the, I forget what it's called, the Monolith Soft stuff. There's a lot of stuff they have cards they can still play, which blows my mind that this Direct was, once, as good as it was without those, and two, that we got these cool cards that we were shown, like Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion is coming back again. Like, that's instantly a win for the Direct, just off the bat. You're right. So I'm glad that it was a very strong Direct, lots of games, lots of cool announcements. Online's still a bit disappointing, I agree, but overall the Direct was really good. Should have been the E3 one, like you were saying.
I honestly think this is the best Direct we've had in like 3 years.
In 3 years.
In 3 years, and that includes, the recent, like, most games I think they've announced in a Direct ever. Like, I could be wrong, but I think we rattled off like 30 games. I think we talked about 30 different games, and that's across both platforms, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that is a lot of games, and for the most part, even though a lot of them were ports,
mm-hmm.
I am excited to get my hands on a lot of all the Final Fantasy games that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I want The World Ends With You. I want, obviously we have the new titles like Yoshi's Crafted World, Daemon X Machina, Luigi's Mansion 3. Jesus, Luigi's Mansion 3.
There was Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Mm-hmm. And Starlink, and then continued support for Splatoon, which honestly can be an evergreen title for Nintendo, the way that Mario Kart and Mario Party games are supposed to be, like those games that Nintendo can continue to support for years on and are guaranteed system sellers. Like all this content that we're getting for a game like Splatoon, I love it. And that's coming off the heels of the Octo expansion that came out, during E3. Mm-hmm. So there's just so much stuff to look forward to going forward. That I honestly, like I said, I think this is the best Direct Nintendo's had in 3 years, basically since Iwata died. Mm-hmm. This has been the best Direct. So yeah, that's all I have to say on the Direct. I think it was the best one. But guys, we gotta let you go. But before we do, we gotta hit you up with these social media links. You can hit me up on Twitter at nice1983. You can email me at nice193@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/the Nintendo Power Zone. If you're a fan of this podcast, you can watch us live here on YouTube, youtube.com/Nintendo Power Zone. But if you want to listen to just the audio, you can download us on iTunes, Google Play Music, and stream new episodes on Stitcher Radio. Go ahead and shout out Jaden. It's at Jaden Winsong on Twitter, twitch.tv/Jaden Winsong. And Brendan, go ahead and take it away.
At the King Blues. Blues always spelled BLOOZ on both Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. At the King Blues. As well as I want to just point out that a little while ago I did a Super Nerds video interview with good person Christopher Stoll, author of Poke Anatomy. And I want to say that there's more Super Nerds coming with the move. It's been a bit tricky, but I want to get more content out there, specifically Super Nerds in particular. All right, that's all I have to say, though.
Awesome. So, guys, there's more great content here on the channel to look forward to. We're going to be doing more unboxing videos. I'm going to have more live gameplay sessions. And I'm definitely going to do another episode of Pixelated Places in the near future. So, guys, look forward to all of that. But for myself, I'm Nice One. That's been Blues. And Jaden dipped out earlier in the show. But we all love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, stay fresh.
I don't get it. I really don't. Anyway, back to Nintendo Switch.
Oh, yes, that's what we were talking about today. I forgot.
Yeah. No, this is the shaving podcast now. We're done. We're done with can't even do it.
All right, let's do this.
It's been a long day. I've been up since 5.
That's on you, son.
All
right.
Oh, I think he just went.
Oh no!
Like, let's start, and then.
But it froze.
Yeah. Oh no!
Come on now.
Yeah, now you're good.
You're good. Oh, shut up.
Of course.